Alright, we'll start working on its front legs. So can you see the bump for the knuckle joint here? Looking at it front on, and then if you look at it side on, you can see the bump as well. So it's something that encircles that whole leg, and if you look at the cutout, you'll see that there's a bump in that if you look at it on the side view. So the location of it is identified to you, so it's just a question of marking it on and making sure that you don't lose that thickness through there. So by putting those two marks on there, hopefully you can have them roughly at the same location on both legs. So from that area up, coming up that way, we're going to try and round this over so that the leg works into the body. There's no real definition between, on the outside, there's no real definition of the outside of the leg. So we're going to have to round that over. So if you look at the finished one, you'll see what I mean. See, we're going to leave the bump here, but we got to get this area here kind of rounded so that it works into the body. So it's just a question of working your gouge or your knife up and getting that nice and smooth and round. But make sure you leave the knob for the knuckle joint there. Okay, so I won't necessarily demonstrate that. It's pretty straightforward. I would likely use a gouge to work that up. Back this off just a bit. So that I start to work this from that joint up. Trying to leave the joint sitting proud. Okay, so work it up like that. Shut this off. So once we've got the shape above done, then we've got to, in order to create the knuckle, we've got to remove some wood below. So if you make a hollow curvature below something like that, then you can that'll create the knuckle on top. So I'll just use a number 9 gouge to create that knuckle, and I'll work that all the way around and leave the knuckle square for now. So you can see that I've tried to get this joint here, this width of this joint down here, and this one here pretty much the same. So it can be hollowed out on the top a little bit more, maybe on both sides, and then eventually we can round over the knuckle joint and make it whatever width up and down we need in order to create that joint and make it look decent. But by getting the hollow established ahead of time, you've established the parameter, and therefore it becomes a lot easier then to shape the leg. I'll leave that those knuckle joints for now, and we'll start working a bit on the hoof down below. So we've established the width above the hoof, so now we have to give the bottom of the hoof a shape. And if you look at the diagram, it doesn't really give you a real indication as to the shape of it. So what I did was I went ahead with the original one, and you can see that I've just created a round shape. And so if I turn it upside down, I've just created that shape. So it's a big round hoof on the front, and then somewhat of a taper on the back side. So that's the same shape as what I'll go with on the new one. Here we go. So let's move that over so you can see it. So I'm going to Boy, that's hard working upside down. So I'm going to create this shape coming around, and then eventually we're going to end up with this tapered somewhat at the back, so that we get that round shape on the front and a little bit of a straighter side coming down the back side. So we work from the bottom up now. We've got the top part established, so now we'll work from the bottom up. Okay, so there it is with the looking up from the bottom. So I got both pads about the same shape. So now this rounded shape coming up here has to be rounded on all the way around now. So once again, use your gouge upside down and work from the bottom up to shape it coming up. But just remember, this is sitting pretty fragile, so support it so that you don't break it off like I did. We want to establish now the end of the hair, I guess, or to where the hoof is. And if you look at the side view here, you can see that the tuft starts right where it kind of levels out on the hoof. And see the little notch down here? That's the notch to accommodate that. So in the rough out, you've got that same feature. Can you see the notch in here? This notch here. And so then it's just a question of determining where you want it to end up here. So it's going to be on the flat spot up here, and we're going to join that on to where that notch is on the bottom down in here. So just draw it on and put it roughly in the right spot, and then I'm going to take a V-tool. You know my favorite tool is a V-tool, so take a V-tool and create that shape. So you're going to remove the wood on the hoof side and leave it on the side where the hair is going to be above it. So I'll go ahead and do that. Mark it out and then use a V-tool on its side and up. So once you've got the round part done on the hoof, this round part on the hoof done, then we've got to get this shape for, I'll call it the socks, coming up to where the joint is. So notice that there's just a nice curvature. That's all the way around. So we're going to create that curvature. So from where the cut is, where you put the notch in, all the way up, we're going to create that curvature. And a nice little lazy kind of a slope going in. So it's a little bit of an in curve on that. And so we'll do that all the way around on both legs, all the way up to the notch we created below where the knuckle joint is. Okay, so I'm going to use what is this? This is a number 3, 12 millimeter, and I'm going to work it up. But be careful, the grain changes on you, so you're going to have to make sure that you you might have to go sideways for some of it in order to create that shape. Also, support it while you're doing it. If you don't support it, and you'll be like me and you'll break it off.
Quarterbacks in the Super Bowl, one makes $14.5 million a year, and the other guy makes $800,000.
What's the difference?
You see,
One was white, one was black.
No.
Now Brady's been around for a while, and Wilson for the Seattle Seahawks.
Okay, so what we got to do now is we've got to create the knuckle joint, and you can see the knuckle joint there, and you can see the knuckle joint over here. So it's the same all the way around basically. So we want to create that. So on my finished one, you can see what I've done here is all now I got to do is just round that and then kind of massage it in so that it fits the muscle above and the muscle below. So on this fella here, all I'm going to do is I'm going to round this knuckle joint around here, and then make sure that it works in to the top and works into the bottom. But the trick is just to round it first, to take it from square to round, and then just massage it in. So there it is with the round shape, went from the square to the round. So we've got the knuckle joint, we've kind of shaped it into the body. Next week we'll do the rounding of the belly and work on the back feet a little bit. But now there's only one thing left to do, and that's these frills on the bottom here. And I learned from doing the previous, the cow the previous time, that it was a lot more difficult to cut out notches in there. So what I've come up with is just take a little V tool, and you can see that's just a very small V tool, and work from the bottom and push it in and then just lift it. Push it in and just lift it. And so if I can zoom in a little bit more, it won't focus. Why won't that focus? There it is. So you can see there's the notches that are created. But the trick is to lay the little V tool down flat and then just lift it up as you push it up. So just take little bits out. Okay?